just quickly before we get to Nicklaus in detail, talk to me about Arnold Palmer, who they call the People's Champion. Before they called The Rock that.
The king. Yeah, I mean, Arnie was... the way he played the game, his kind of style was very endearing. You know, he wasn't a robot. He was passionate. The way he swang, it was like he was constantly on the edge of things going wrong, the way he was moving. But he kind of electrified the game in the sense that, you know, he was a people's champion and everyone kind of rooted for him. And Nicklaus, when he came along, you know, just a little bit later, but, you know, they were still very much they were competing with each other during this time. Nicklaus was a little bit less popular.
Really?
Yes, because, I mean, you've got Palmer, who is like one of the favourites of the fans, and all of a sudden then you've got this guy coming along who's taking his glory away. And the way that he played was very different. You know, it wasn't the same kind of style. And you kind of get that with Scheffler now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, Scheffler is by far the best player, the most consistent player in the world. But I wouldn't kind of say he's a fan favourite.
No.
I think
right.
I could really appreciate what he does, and I do enjoy watching him to an extent. But if you ask people, you know, who would you rather watch play, Rory or Scheffler, pretty much everyone's going to, not everyone, but a lot of people are going to say Rory.
Yeah.
Because of the style that he does it.
Yeah.
You know, that the Masters that he won this year was... It was horrendous.
Palmer-esque.
It was horrendous to watch, but it was just absolute cinema.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I will remember that final round more than I will remember Scotty making Portrush the most boring place in the world.
Yeah.
This year round.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
You know, it's just the way that they go about the business, the way that they do things. And, you know, that was the difference between Palmer and Nicklaus. I'm not saying Nicklaus wasn't an exciting golfer. He obviously was. But it was just different. It's a different kind of person, different kind of personality. You had this unbelievable champion, this person who was like a force on the golf course. And then you had Palmer, who was a great player, but Palmer also flew himself to tournaments.
It's pretty cool.
Wild.
You know, he's that kind of vibe.
He's a rock star.
He just looked cool. He was just cool, wasn't he? He was just cool.
All right, you're getting excited.
Yeah, don't unplug yourself.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He was just cool. Like the photos you see of him, like the look, you know, good looking bloke, flies a plane, cigarette in hand. You know, like he just looked the part.
Proper rock star.
Yeah.
Proper rock star. Okay, let's get into. We're going to talk about Nicklaus. Gary Player is the other one in this era who obviously went bananas. He's like the first global traveler golfer. Mm-hmm. He played everywhere, all the time, as much as he could. He was the first player in history to win a tournament on every continent.
Yeah. Also Grand Slammer.
Yeah.
And probably one of the... You wouldn't believe it when he talks, but probably a very underrated golfer in many respects as well. Mm-hmm. He rates himself very highly, but I think he was probably underappreciated in many respects.
In his time.
Yeah, and maybe now. Because
really?
I think when you think about the great players of the past, I don't think you go to his name straight away. Mm. You know, there are other players obviously ahead of him, but you'd probably put some golfers who haven't had his level of success above him as well. You know, but he was literally, again, like you talk about these golfers and how they're all different. Like Player was the first golfer who actually really introduced a level of like fitness, health, and more of a physical not aspect to like the way he played and the way he explained what he was doing within his golf swing. And, you know, he obviously still carries that on to the day, but again, it was just that extra little thing of professionalism and I'm doing this is a sport. So he did move the needle and he moved the game on. Yeah. And that's all I've got to say about that.
That's absolutely brilliant. It's lovely. I really liked it. Let's talk about Jack Nicklaus then. Who, if we're going to, the comparison between him and Palmer is very interesting. I just want to highlight the 1962 US Open, which was at Oakmont You may remember it.
Yep, vividly.
Nicklaus was 22 when he beat Palmer in an 18-hole playoff to claim his first major.
You guys don't remember 18-hole playoffs, do you?
No.
So he wins his major, and the gallery booed him.
Oh my God.
That's how much they wanted Palmer to win. So Palmer was the beloved hero, and Nicklaus was, and this is a quote from the TV at the time, the fat kid with the crew cut.
That was the headline.
like a
That was
bar.
the, yeah.
Wow.
But that's kind of when you go up against somebody like that.
Yep.
The fat kid with the crew cut.
Wow.
Yep.
But hey, this is when it kind of started. Like Nicklaus had a level of dominance that is pretty much unparalleled. Obviously, you had Tiger, but Nicklaus was kind of more dominant than him back in his day.
So this is a Golf Digest quote from that same year. Said, Arnie made golf cool. Jack made golf cold-blooded. He just went out there to win.
Just to win.
I'm just going to win it.
Just a winner, an absolute winner. And also, I don't know, like all the stats they've kind of got up there. And obviously, we're still talking here about debates over who is the best golfer in the world, and how you would rank them. And this is where Nicklaus moves into the point where he's pretty clearly the best golfer in the world. You have other players coming up, like Tom Watson, for example, and other people who are competing against him. One of the most amazing things about Nicklaus, and I don't have the numbers to hand, you could maybe look it up, is he's got 18 major wins, but the amount of top fives he had in majors
Top
without
fives.
winning.
Oh, right.
It is ridiculous.
He had 14 runner-ups in majors
Jesus.
in the years that he was winning majors.
14.
He had
14.
14 second places.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Think of what it could have been.
Oh my
So
God.
that's the thing. So how close he would have been on
Yeah.
lots of occasions to winning more, but then also the consistency that he showed being
Yeah.
top on.
Yeah.
It's something stupid. It's like
Yeah.
50 top five or something.
That's crazy.
That is wild. Yeah, so in 1965, he won the Masters by 9 shots, beating the previous record that was set by Ben Hogan. In 1970, he won the Open at St Andrews, returned to St Andrews to win it. And then his 1975 Masters victory was against Johnny Miller, Tom Weiskopf, and Gary Player, which is like, people consider that 1975 Masters win his like ultimate peak. It was just unbelievable. What have you got?
So he had 18 victories.
Yes.
He had 19 second place finishes and 9 third place finishes. He had 48 top 3 finishes, 56 top 5 finishes, and 73 top 10 finishes.
just let that percolate.
In the majors?
Yeah, in the majors.
When you're talking about like who is the greatest of all time, let those numbers just sink in a little bit.
Yeah.
He finished in the top 5 at majors 56 times.
Yeah.
There's only 4 a year.
Yeah.
He finished in the top 3 48 times. That is very impressive.
That is incredibly impressive. And what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say here, of a field, how competitive is? I'm not trying to dub any of this down, but how competitive is that field? Which, do you know what I mean? I know you've still got to do it, but
how many people in that field had the potential to win it?
do you know what? Yeah, that's where I draw a bit of a. It's unbelievable. You've got to go out and do it. And shows incredible longevity and consistency, everything like that. But of those, who's competing? Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
You know
I know
what
what
I
you mean. Well, you get this debate in other sports as well.
Yeah.
Like tennis is the real example.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
But if you think about again the level of the level of the fields has risen definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get into debate around like Tiger and Jack and who might have been better. But
That's a whole separate podcast.
Yeah, so that is actually,
because you would say, for example, and I'm not the only person to say this, but Snead's record of PGA Tour wins, when that was beaten by Tiger, I'm pretty sure everyone was like, you know what, Tiger's is more impressive because of the fields that he was facing. So you can have that debate between eras.
But
to
still,
be so
yeah.
consistent over so long and to have the most major wins. If that's what you're judging golf on, then he has to be the best
Yeah,
of all time. It has to be.